Good evening everyone. So today we'll discuss about some important terminologies which you will come across while studying the chapter genetics. So the first thing is the heredity. So heredity is the transmission of the traits from parents to the children. So simply put, you can also call as heredity as the transmission of traits from one generation to the other. The second important terminology here is the variations. If you look at this picture, you can see the differences among these organisms, right? And in the second picture again you can see the differences among these girls, right? So these differences, they are known as variations. If you look at this picture and assume that all these butterflies, they rear in same kind of environment, I mean they live in same environment, and all the differences, they are due to the kind of genes or the type of genes they have inherited. So you will call it as genetic variation. If you look at this picture of twins, so you know these are identical twins, so genetically they are similar. They have same set of genes, but still they don't look similar to each other. So the differences among identical twins, they are the environmental differences. So these are known as environmental variations. For example, this girl has short hair, this girl has long hair, right? This girl seems to be more muscular. This is because of the exercise, because she does exercise regularly. She doesn't seems to be much muscular. So these changes, they are induced by the environment, right? So this is variations. So the next thing is the genetics and genes. Both are quite related to each other. So genetics is the study of genes, and heredity. Heredity, you already know, it is the transmission of the traits from parents to the children, right? Now, what we inherit from our parents? So we inherit basically these structures. So these structures are known as chromosomes, right? So we inherit the chromosomes from the parent, and chromosomes, they are the carrier of the genes, right? So I'll draw one chromosome here. So chromosome has DNA in a packed form. So this is the DNA which is in the packed form. If you open the DNA will look like this. So DNA has two strands. This is one strand, this is the second strand. Now whole of the DNA, it doesn't do anything. It's not functional. Only certain segment of the DNA, say for example from this to this, and second from this to this, only certain segment of the DNA, they code for the proteins in a cell. So the segment of the DNA which code for the protein, it is known as gene, right? So this is gene 1, you can mark this as gene 1. This is your gene 2, right? So I repeat, that whole segment of the DNA doesn't code for protein. Only the part of the DNA, some part of the DNA which codes for the protein in a cell is known as gene. So why we look similar to our parents? The reason is that we inherit chromosomes, and chromosomes are the carrier of the genes, and genes are the part of the DNA that has some that codes for the protein, and this protein has some biological function within the cell. What this protein does, it has some biological function within the cell, right? So the next part is the homologous chromosomes, right, and heterologous chromosome. So we are diploid organisms. So what do you mean by diploid organism? If you look at a cell, a somatic cell of your body, you have two members of chromosome, right? So chromosome are present in a set of two. So this is chromosome 1, this is also chromosome 1. So I'll use another color now. So if this is chromosome 2, you have two members of chromosome 2. If this is chromosome 3, you have two members of chromosome 3. So such kind of organisms which has two set of chromosomes, they are known as diploid organism. So this pair is similar. So this is known as homologous chromosome. This is homologous chromosomes. So the pair of chromosomes is known as homologous chromosome. In this picture you can see this is, say for example, this is the pair of chromosome 1, this is the pair of chromosome 4. So these two are homologous chromosome, these two are also the homologous chromosome. If you place chromosome 3, this is chromosome 3, with the member of chromosome 1, you place it with chromosome 1, the member of chromosome 1. Now these two are heterologous because they are not similar. One is chromosome 3, one is chromosome 1. So these are heterologous chromosome. As I have already told you, chromosome has genes. Chromosomes are the carrier of genes. So this is known as locus. The position of gene on a chromosome is known as locus, right? And these two copies of genes are known as alleles. So alleles are the variants of gene, or you can say two copies of genes. We will see what are homozygous and heterozygous organism. As I have already told you, the variants of the genes, they are known as alleles. Variants of a gene are known as alleles. So in this picture you can see if the individual have identical alleles, BB, identical, so they are known as homozygous. If the individual has different alleles, or in this form, they are known as heterozygous. And if individual has again similar kind of alleles, they are known as homozygous. So I repeat, what are alleles? Alleles are the variants, the two copies of the gene, right? So those two copies, they can be either identical or different. If they are identical, then the individual is homozygous. And if they are not identical, then the individual is heterozygous, right? So this heterozygous individuals are also known as hybrid because they have different alleles. And how these different alleles are created? They are created by the process of mutation. So the next thing is phenotype and genotype. So phenotype is the external appearance of an organism, right? Here if you look at the picture, this mouse appears to be the white in color. So this is the external appearance. It has a long tail, it has a big sized body, right? So this is the phenotype, appearance. And what is the genotype? If you are trying to look at the set of genes, the kind of gene this mouse has, say for example, this mouse has this set of chromosome, and this is, for example, chromosome pair 4. So this is chromosome pair 4. And over here, this pair of gene or these alleles, so you can mark them as capital W or W, right? So this mice is white in color because it has these set of genes, right? So what you are doing, you are deciphering the genotype of the mice. Now this is known as the genotype, the genetic. Genotype is genetic constitution of an organism, or the genetic makeup. You are looking at the kind of genes this mice has. So then it is the genotype. When you are looking at the color, simply color, the eye color, the kind of hair, the structure, the body size. So this is the phenotype, the external appearance. So now we will practice some questions on this, right? So the first question is the alternative form of genes, right? The question is the alternative form of the gene is called, as I have already told you, the two copies of gene, right, which are located on homologous chromosomes. So this is a homologous pair. This is chromosome 2. This is also chromosome 2. So these two copies of a gene or the alternative forms of a gene, say for example these two letters, right? So they are the designations for the alleles, right, for the genes. So it is the alternative form of gene is called allele. So answer is allele. The process of transmission of traits from one generation to next is called, this is very simple, so this process is known as heredity, right? So this is the way we pass on the traits from children to the next generation. The third question is, who is the father of genetics? So again, the father of genetics is Mendel. So he did all the basic experiments, the experiments like hybridization on the pea plant to decipher the certain rules of pattern of inheritance. So Mendel is the father of genetics. So Mendel's findings were rediscovered by, right? So it was rediscovered, all the studies of Mendel was rediscovered and reproved by three scientists, Correns, De Veres and Teschmark together. So the answer is all. Which of the following represents hybrid? So here they are talking about the genotype of an individual. So say this is a pair of chromosome. Okay, if this is the locus for a particular gene, so the different alleles at this locus, the different alleles at this local will represent a heterozygous individual, right? So this is a heterozygous individual, or you can call it as hybrid. So then next question is, the genetic makeup of an individual is known as, the genetic makeup of an individual is its genotype, right? When you are looking at the genetic constitution, you are talking about an individual. Say there's an individual who is very tall. This individual is very tall. This individual is daft. Tallness and daftness, they are the phenotype. From outside, they are appearing as, one individual is appearing as tall, other is appearing as dwarf, short. So this is the phenotype. But if you are looking at the genetic constitution of this individual, why this individual is tall? Because this individual has this pair of alleles. Why this individual is short? Because this individual has, so these are homologous chromosomes, this individual has this pair of alleles. So when you are looking at the genes, right, so this is known as genotype. So the answer is genotype. The unit of inheritance, what you inherit from your parents. Is it DNA? Is it gene? True. But DNA or gene, they are the part of chromosomes. So the unit which you inherit during cell division, it is not DNA or gene, it is inherited in the form of chromosome. So you can call chromosome as DNA plus proteins. DNA plus protein together, they form a structure which are known as chromosomes. Right? So these chromosomes are inherited from the parents. The answer is chromosomes. The differences and variation among the identical twins. Now they are talking about identical twins. You have to assume that identical twins are genetically identical. They carry same kind of genes. So all the differences and variations among identical twins are due to the environment, right? So it is due to the environment. So the next question is the causes of variation among organisms. So basically this question wants to know the types of variation. So already explained, there are two types of variation, environmental and genetics. So the answer is it can be both above. Right. Next question is location of a gene on chromosome is known as, if you draw a chromosome, so I am drawing the homologous chromosomes. So this place where pair of gene or alternative form of genes, you can call as alleles, they are present. So this location is known as locus.